All right, we are going to get started. A little feedback, but we're just going to go ahead and start it. I'm going to call this virtual court hearing to order. I want to. Okay, we have a little feedback and it's a little technical issues here, but I'm sure we are going to get through this. I'm just really so excited to welcome the fifth grade students of the Adacao Elementary School and their teacher, Mrs. Tilly Bloss. I feel that I'm very honored, and I want to thank Justice Torres and Danielle for asking me to welcome the students to the first ever. I don't know if it's the first ever across the nation, surely in Guam, the first virtual fairy tale mock trial. You know, when the Law Day Committee met and I participated in the meeting, and we had the COVID-19 virus put a real damper in all the plans and activities. I just automatically thought that mock trial would also go by the wayside. It would just be too hard, too difficult to do a virtual mock trial. But to my surprise and to my pleasant surprise, Justice Torres and Danielle stepped up and was able to contact a school that was willing to do the hard work that it takes to put on. You know, we're trying to get our judges to use this Zoom virtual platform to conduct their hearings. And it's a very difficult process. And for you students in the fifth grade from Adacao Elementary School to step up to the entire community to say, if you put your minds to it, it can be done. It's really an example for all of us at the judiciary that we want to emulate your determination to, despite the challenges, to come forward and take this on. And while we are here to continue the mock trial, the learning process in terms of the court proceedings, you've also, through this exercise, have learned to use a virtual platform, a video conferencing tool that across the nation people are utilizing. You know, Zoom has started with about 10 million a month at hearings. There were over 300 million users in terms of using this platform. I just want to see a show of hands. I know you're all muted, but before this Zoom virtual hearing, how many of you have ever used this Zoom tool? Can you raise your hand? How many before this actual proceeding? We have one student. And so you see that the added benefit of not only continuing to display during our law week, just in terms of the proceedings in a courtroom, you've also now all become accustomed and familiar to a tool that we are all trying to learn, because it's going to, in the judiciary, it's going to be some how these virtual hearings, other than in person in the courtroom, is going to be the way of going forward, how we are going to be conducting things in many of our court proceedings. Danielle Rossetti, our clerk of court, is playing a very instrumental role in implementing these tools. So I want to commend you. I want to thank you. I want to congratulate you. So you've now learned a tool that you can become familiar with even after this hearing. I also want to thank your parents for supporting our efforts. But I want to take just a moment to thank Justice Torres and Danielle for persevering and saying, despite the odds, despite the difficulty, we're going to make it happen. And here we are this evening, and I'm just so thrilled that I get to be the one to introduce and to start this proceedings. I won't delay it any further. I'm eager to watch. I will mute myself and stop my video. And at this time, Justice Torres and Danielle, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. I think we're ready to start and proceed with the trial. So we'll get back and give some closing remarks and introduce all of the students who are participating in this first virtual mock trial, the trial of Harry Potter, when we're done. So I will likewise stop my video and disappear.
All rise. The Superior Court of Guam is now in session. In Honorable of Ariana Donraj presiding.
You may be seated. Will the clerk please call the case?
This is the case of People versus Harry Potter. Appearing for the people is Attorney Maria Mendiola. Appearing for the defendant, Harry Potter, is Attorney Caden Gomez.
Thank you. Harry Potter, please rise to hear the charge.
Harry, you are charged that on or about the 3rd day of November 2012, you did unlawfully cause the death of Professor Quirrell and thereby commit murder in the 2nd degree. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Please be seated. Your Honor and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I shall begin with some general comments on our roles during this trial. Throughout these proceedings, you shall act as judges of the facts and I the judge of the law. Although I may comment on the evidence as judge of the facts, you are the exclusive judges of the evidence. By the same token, when I tell you what the law is, it is my view of the law that must prevail. There are two basic principles that are fundamental to your part as jurors. They are the requirement for proof beyond a reasonable doubt and the presumption of innocence. The requirement for proof beyond a reasonable doubt means that no person accused of an offense can be found guilty unless the prosecutor proves each and every part or element of the offense beyond a reasonable doubt. Similarly, our system of law requires that an accused person be presumed innocent until proven guilty. Harry Potter has no obligation to prove that he is not guilty or to explain the evidence offered by the prosecutor. The law presumes he is innocent until you decide otherwise. Before calling the prosecutor to give her opening statement, I will tell you something of the offense with which Harry has been charged. The prosecutor has charged Harry Potter with 1 count of 2nd-degree murder. Before you can legally return a guilty verdict on the homicide, the prosecutor must prove the following elements beyond a reasonable doubt. First, the identity of Harry Potter as the offender. Second, the time and place of the offense. Third, that Harry Potter killed Professor Quirrell. Fourth, that Harry Potter killed him wrongfully. And fifth, that Harry Potter intended to kill the professor. I now call upon the prosecutor to proceed with her case.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we intend to prove that Harry Potter killed Professor Quirrell and that he did so knowing that it was illegal, contrary to the Criminal Code of Guam, therefore committing 2nd-degree murder. To prove our case, we intend to call the following witnesses: Lord Voldemort's spirit, Rubeus Hagrid, Hogwarts gamekeeper, and Professor Snape, Hogwarts teacher and potions master. We now wish to call our first witness, Lord Voldemort.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
Say your name and address for the court, please.
I am Lord Voldemort, and I live in the Forbidden Forest.
Voldemort, please tell the court what happened on the night of November 3rd, 2012.
At around 10:30 p.m., Professor Quirrell and I went to check on the magical sorcerer's stone, which is located on the 3rd floor of Hogwarts Academy, to make sure it was safe.
Why is the stone so special?
It has unlimited power.
What happened once you were up and on the 3rd floor?
We put Fluffy the guard dog to sleep and completed all of the tasks guarding the stone. With the level of our magic skills, it wasn't too hard.
What happened after you had completed all of the tasks?
We entered the room where the magic mirror was standing.
And what makes the mirror so magical?
It can see the dreams inside you and make them appear real. The secret to retrieving the stone was to imagine that the stone was in your pocket or in your hand, and it would appear there. But for some reason, it didn't work.
What happened next?
Well, Harry Potter entered the room, so I asked him what he was doing there. He said that he was there to help us retrieve the stone. I told him that he should be in bed and should go back to sleep, but he insisted in helping us.
What did you see next?
Harry Potter looked straight into the mirror and was somehow able to retrieve the stone. Naturally, Professor Quirrell went to take the stone from him, but he pushed him away and said that he was going to keep it for himself.
What was Professor Quirrell's reaction to this?
Professor Quirrell was outraged. I went over to Harry, attempting to negotiate with him. Suddenly, Harry touched the professor on his cheek. He must have cast an evil spell on him, because as his hand touched the professor's cheek, his face crumbled into pieces, as if it was made of stone. The professor pleaded for him to stop, but he refused and started striking the face of the professor as it crumbled into millions of pieces.
How did you react to this?
I tried to help him, but it was too late. The professor had died.
Did Harry say anything to you?
Yes, Harry told me that the same thing was gonna happen to me if I didn't run away.
What did you do then?
I picked up Professor Quirrell's ashes because I knew it would be good as evidence and ran.
Do you see the boy who murdered the professor in this room today?
Yes, it was him.
Let the record show that the witness is pointing to the accused. Now then, Voldemort, what did you do after you had left the room?
I reported Harry to Hagrid, who was sleeping in his quarters. We called the police from there. I gave them the ashes for evidence, and Harry was arrested. I have brought those ashes here as evidence.
Your Honor, we would like to submit the bag of ashes of Professor Quirrell as Exhibit 1 in this trial.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Voldemort. No further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Have you killed anybody before?
Yes, but only in extreme circumstances.
Isn't it true that you are a mass murderer? Isn't it true that checking on the Sorcerer's Stone is not a regular activity for both you and Quirrell?
No, it isn't. Professor Quirrell and I have been checking on the stone once every month.
Did Professor Dumbledore give you permission to check on the stone?
Yes.
So are you saying Professor Dumbledore would trust a mass murderer with a priceless item?
Well, he did.
Isn't it true that Professor Dumbledore never gave you permission?
No, he gave me permission.
Isn't it true that you made up the story about checking on the Sorcerer's Stone every month so that you would not have to face charges on stealing the stone in a later trial?
No.
Isn't it true that it was only on this night that the magical mirror had been brought down from the attic to the room guarding the stone?
Yes, but Professor Snape, the potions master at Hogwarts, also a keeper of the stone, had told me how to use the mirror earlier that night.
You are Voldemort's spirit, aren't you?
Yes.
Isn't it true that you wanted the stone so it could revive your body with its powers?
Well, yes, it is, but,
Isn't it true that you wanted power so you could go back to your old life?
well, yes.
You wanted a body so you could kill more people, didn't you?
No.
You used magic for evil purposes, isn't that correct?
Well, no. No.
You and Professor Quirrell were sharing the same body?
Yes.
Was your face on the opposite side of Quirrell's?
Yes.
Then how is it that you could have seen Harry Potter kill Quirrell when you were not facing in that direction? I have no further questions for this witness.
Thank you, Voldemort. You may step down. You may call your next witness.
We call Rubeus Hagrid.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes,
State your name and address, please.
I am Rubeus Hagrid and I live at Hogwarts Magic Academy.
Hagrid, what happened on the night of November the 3rd?
It started off as any average night at Hogwarts. After dinner, I went to my quarters to sleep, but in the middle of the night, Voldemort woke me up and told me to call the police. He was sweating and looked very terrified.
Did he tell you anything?
Yes, after telling me to call the police, he said that Harry Potter had murdered Professor Quirrell.
Did you believe him?
Uh-huh.
Hagrid, please answer clearly so the court will have an accurate representation of the proceedings.
Yes, of course.
Hagrid, what led you to believe him?
The look on his face and the ashes of Professor Quirrell that he showed me. Voldemort has never lied to me. I trust him with my life.
Thank you, Hagrid. No further questions.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Hagrid, how do you know that Voldemort was not lying to you?
Because of the ashes and because he has never lied before.
How do you know he wasn't lying to you now?
Well, I just do.
As gamekeeper of Hogwarts, are there a set of rules that you must follow?
Yes.
Are you forbidden to lie?
Yes.
Have you broken any rules while at Hogwarts?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes, positively.
Well, in that case, had you met Professor Dumbledore before you began to work at Hogwarts?
Yes.
How did you meet him?
I was a student at the school.
Are you a warlock now?
No.
How is that so?
I was expelled.
For what, may I ask?
I was keeping a forbidden pet at school.
You were breaking the rules by keeping a forbidden pet at school?
Yes.
So at your time at Hogwarts, you have broken a rule, haven't you? You ever broken a rule since?
No.
But how do I know if you are telling the truth now? A few moments ago you lied.
I am telling the truth now.
Yeah, as if I'm gonna believe you now. No further questions.
Thank you, Hagrid. You may step down. The prosecutor may call its next witness.
I call Professor Snape.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes.
State your name and address, please.
I am Professor Snape and I live at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Professor Snape, what is your relation to the accused and is he in the court today?
Objection, Your Honor, that is a leading question. Of course, the accused will be in court.
I will rephrase my question. What is your connection with the accused?
He used to be one of my top students. Now he's sitting with the council over there.
Let the record show that the witness has identified the accused, Harry Potter. What happened on the night of November 3rd, 2012?
Harry Potter murdered Professor Quirrell.
Objection, Your Honor. Professor Snape did not see the murder, nor can he speculate, as that is a jury's job.
Voldemort told Professor Snape the facts of the murder.
Your Honor, that is hearsay. Snape didn't see the murder.
Sustained. The jury shall disregard the last statement made by Professor Snape.
How did you hear of Quirrell's death?
Voldemort told me.
Did he tell you anything else?
He suspected that something suspicious was going on with Harry Potter and his friends by looking at them during dinner time. So I decided to keep close watch on them. Today was the day that Professor Quirrell and Voldemort were going to check up on the stone.
What happened later that night?
While walking to my sleeping quarters, I saw Harry Potter and his two friends sneaking into the entrance to where the stone was being held. So I decided to follow them.
What did you see?
Harry Potter and his friends were quite impressive. They passed all the tasks guarding the stone.
Did Harry discover you?
No, I was hiding.
How did you keep hidden from Harry and all of his friends?
I drank an invisibility potion that would last for 7 hours.
Did all of them eventually get into the room where the Sorcerer's Stone was being kept?
No, only Harry.
And what happened once he was in the room?
Professor Quirrell asked Harry what he was doing there. Harry said that he was going to help them, Professor Quirrell and Voldemort, to retrieve the Sorcerer's Stone from the mirror. They said he should go back to bed, but he insisted. He looked into the mirror and somehow was able to retrieve the stone from the mirror. Professor Quirrell tried to take it from him, but Harry said he was going to keep it for himself.
What happened next?
As the professor tried to take it from Harry, Harry touched his face and it crumbled to pieces. I think that Harry used some sort of magical spell to do this. With every strike that he gave the professor, parts of his body and his face would crumble as if it was made out of clay. Harry told Voldemort that the same thing would happen to him if he didn't run. So he picked up assets for evidence, which was a smart thing to do, and ran. Harry Potter has been getting into a lot of trouble lately. He's always up to no good, especially in my class.
Objection! The prosecutor cannot have witnesses testifying to the character of Harry. The defense has not made Harry's character an issue in this trial.
Your Honor, Professor Snape's comments are just an explanation of why the professor thought that something suspicious was going on.
Objection sustained. The jury will disregard that last statement. Professor, from now on, please don't offer your opinions on Harry's character.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Defense, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Professor Snape, isn't it true that Voldemort said that he was the one to ask Harry what he was doing there in the stone? What he was doing there in the room where the stone was being kept?
Yes.
Then why did you tell the court that Professor Quirrell was the one to ask Harry?
I did not say that.
Yes, you did. And I quote, Professor Quirrell asked Harry what he was doing there.
I just made a little mistake. I meant to say Voldemort. Everybody makes mistakes.
You don't like Harry, do you?
I tried to remain impartial as I found that this method works best.
Don't you have a reason to dislike Harry?
No, I don't.
Let me remind you that you are under oath.
I know.
Didn't you know Harry's father, Mr. Potter, when you went to school?
Yes.
Didn't he make a fool out of you? Yes, so you did have a reason to hate Harry because of what his father did to you. No further questions, Your Honor.
Prosecutor, call your next witness.
The prosecutor rests its case, Your Honor.
I now call upon the defense to make their opening statement and to proceed with their case.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Harry Potter admits that he did perform the act of murder upon Mr. Quirrell, but he did so as an involuntary act of self-defense. I would ask that the following be taken into consideration. Professor Quirrell was performing an extremely sinister deed, and if Harry had not intervened, Voldemort's body could have been revived, giving him the power to kill once again. This act of self-defense has bettered our society. The evidence you will hear today will support these facts and cast a reasonable doubt upon the prosecutor's theory. We will call Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Professor Dumbledore as witnesses for the defense. Your Honor, I am now prepared to call my first witness.
Proceed.
I call Harry Potter to the witness box.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Say your name and address, please.
Harry Potter. I live in Gryffindor dormitory at Hogwarts.
You may be seated.
Harry, where were you on November 3rd, 2012?
I was in Hogwarts Academy.
Can you explain what happened that night?
Yes, I went to explore the Sorcerer's Stone with two of my friends, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger. We snuck into the room using an invisibility cloak given to me by a friend of my father.
Did you manage to get past all of the tasks guarding the stone?
No, yes.
And were you all able to enter the room where the stone was being kept?
No, only I.
What did you see inside that room?
I saw Voldemort and Professor Quirrell standing beside my mirror.
Do you know why the mirror is so magical?
Yes, it can make your dreams appear real.
Did you notice anything odd about Voldemort and Professor Quirrell?
Yes, for some reason, Professor Quirrell was calling Voldemort master.
Did Voldemort or Professor Quirrell say anything to you?
Yes, the professor told me to look in the mirror and to tell him what I saw.
What did you see?
I saw my reflection wink at me and pull the powerful Sorcerer's Stone out of its pocket, and suddenly I felt the stone in my pocket, but I did not dare to take it out. I knew something fishy was going on.
What happened next?
He impatiently asked me what I saw.
What did you say?
I told him I saw myself shaking hands with Professor Dumbledore, the headmaster of the academy.
Why did you lie?
I knew that Professor Quirrell and Voldemort were after the stone, I'm guessing for more power.
What happened next?
Voldemort told me to tell the truth, but I refused. I tried to make a run for it, but in a second, the professor had clenched my wrist as tightly as handcuffs. The pain coming from my scar on my forehead was unbearable. It felt as if my head was going to split in two, but to my surprise, he let go, looking at his fingers in pain. They were blistering before my very eyes, as the pain from my scar started to fade. Voldemort yelled to Professor Quirrell to kill me. He jumped on me and clenched my neck with his bare hands. The pain came back again, more powerful than ever, but just as I thought, I was finally done for. I saw Professor take back his hands, screaming in agony. His hands were burnt and raw, parts were even crumbling. Voldemort shouted to him again to kill me.
What happened next?
Professor Quirrell raised his right hand to perform a deadly curse, but I, through instinct, grabbed his face. He again shouted in agony. His face was now blistering like his hands. I then realized that he could not touch me without suffering a great deal of pain. So I clenched his arm as tightly as I could. The pain this time was more dominant than ever before, and I could only hear the sounds of the professor's screams and the shouting of Voldemort. Then I blacked out.
When did you wake up?
When I woke up, I was lying down in a hospital facility beside Dumbledore. I later learned that the professor had died.
Did you mean to kill him?
No, of course not. I just tried to prevent him from killing me and getting the stone. I knew that if he was able to get the stone, the whole world would be in great peril. Lord Voldemort was trying to revive his own body instead of sharing a body with Professor Quirrell. Lord Voldemort is evil and would kill many people if he got a body.
Objection. The witness is characterizing Lord Voldemort.
The witness is merely stating the truth about Lord Voldemort.
Ow, 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 ow!
The Thank you. I have no further questions.
Prosecutor, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. You knew you were in a lot of trouble for breaking the rules. That's why you wanted to kill Professor Quirrell, wasn't it?
Not at all. He was trying to kill me.
Harry, if you didn't intend to kill the professor, then why did you clench onto his arms instead of running while he was distracted by his pain?
I thought that if I tried to run again, he would just capture me like he did the first time I tried to run.
You just wanted to use the stone for your own purposes. Isn't that correct?
No. I was trying to keep it from Voldemort.
You could feel the power of the stone and you wanted to keep it for yourself, correct?
Well,
Do you have any proof that they were going to use the stone for evil doings?
no.
So you just used your instinct to determine whether or not the stone was going to be used for good or evil, or if they were ever going to use it at all, right?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Counsel, please call your next witness.
We call Ron Weasley.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Please state your name and address, please.
Ron Weasley. I live in the Gryffindor dormitory at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
You may be seated.
Please tell the court your relationship to the accused.
I am one of his two best friends.
How is it that you became one of his best friends?
I met him on the train ride going to Hogwarts on the first day of school, and ever since then, we've been good friends. We have a lot in common.
Tell me what happened on the night of November 3rd, 2012.
Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and I all went to see the Sorcerer's Stone.
Why did you want to see the stone?
We were all interested in what it looked like. We knew it had limitless power.
Were you able to get past all of the dangers and traps guarding the stone?
Yes.
Were all three of you able to enter the room where the Sorcerer's Stone was being kept?
No. After the last task, I was too weak to move, and Hermione stayed with me to make sure I was okay. However, Harry insisted that he go alone. We wanted to go with him, but he forced us, so promised not to go after him. But the temptation was too much. Hermione and I drew up the courage to follow Harry.
What happened next?
Hermione and I hid in one corner of the room where we could see everything that was happening.
What did you see?
I saw Harry look into the magic mirror and reach into his pocket. I could see a faint glow coming from it. Professor Crow and Harry were exchanging words, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. I saw Harry make an attempt to run, but the professor was too fast. He grabbed Harry's wrist. Suddenly, I saw Professor Crow's hand blister and crumble like rock as he screamed in agony. Voldemort was screaming over and over again to kill Harry, but I could hear this because Voldemort was screaming at the top of his voice. But every time the professor tried to touch Harry, his skin would burn. Harry, in self-defense, clenched onto the professor's arm before he could put an evil curse on him.
What happened next?
Hermione and I ran to get help. We both shouted to wake everybody up. Dumbledore heard our cries and we gave him a brief story of what happened. We made our way down to the room where we found Harry lying on the ground unconscious and some of the ashes of Professor Crow. However, there was no sign of Voldemort. The stone was found in Harry's pocket.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Prosecutor, do you wish to cross-examine this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Ron. You say that you could not make out what Harry and the professor were saying to each other. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you cannot prove that Harry did not say that he was going to keep the stone for himself. Is this true?
I know Harry. He wouldn't do such a thing. Besides, Voldemort was telling the professor to kill him.
You only know that because you are his best friend and you don't want him to be convicted, do you?
No, it's the truth.
You don't know what happened after you left. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct.
Thank you, Ron. I have no further questions for this witness.
The defense calls Professor Dumbledore.
Do you swear that the evidence you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
I do.
Say your name and address, please.
I am Professor Dumbledore. I live at Hogwarts Magic Academy.
You may be seated.
Professor, what is your profession?
I am headmaster of Hogwarts Academy.
What is your relation to Professor Quirrell?
He's one of my closest friends.
What did you see on the night of November 3rd, 2012?
I saw Professor Quirrell and Voldemort trying to murder Harry Potter and trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone.
What led you to believe that they were attempting to steal the stone and murder Harry Potter?
I watched the whole thing happen through a special crystal ball I kept in my sleeping quarters. I use it to make sure that all the students are safely in bed during the night. I check each room every night. I was checking on all the sleeping quarters. Harry's section, which included Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, was the last area I had to check. To my distress, I found neither Harry, Hermione, or Ron were in their beds. I looked around the school through my crystal ball, which took an hour considering how big Hogwarts Academy is.
Did you eventually find them?
Yes.
Where did you find them?
They were on the 3rd floor in the room that was forbidden to all students. It was where the Sorcerer's Stone was being guarded. I saw Harry in the middle of the room with Professor Quirrell and Voldemort. Hermione and Ron were hiding in the corner of the room where they could not be seen. But I didn't know why Voldemort and Quirrell were there. Only Professor Snape checks on the stone.
What did you see next?
I saw Harry with the stone in his pocket. He had retrieved it from the mirror. Unfortunately, I could not hear through the crystal ball, so I couldn't make out what Professor Quirrell was saying to Harry. Harry tried to run, but Quirrell seized him by the wrist and tried to choke Harry. Fortunately for Harry, every time Quirrell would touch him, his skin would burn because Harry was pure of heart. That is what protected him from Voldemort and Quirrell.
What did you do next?
As soon as I saw this, I ran down to the 3rd floor of Hogwarts, where Ron and Hermione met up with me and told me the whole story. When we went back to the room where the stone was, Quirrell was dead, Harry was unconscious, and Voldemort was gone. Our crystal ball recorded the first half of the incident. I have brought it as evidence.
Your Honor, we would like to submit this videotape recorded by Dumbledore's crystal ball as Exhibit 2 in this trial.
You may proceed.
One more question. Did you ever give Lord Voldemort or Professor Quirrell permission to check on the stone?
I did give Professor Quirrell permission, but he was not supposed to be down there that night. However, I would never trust Voldemort with anything. He kills Harry's parents. He is a mass murderer. I didn't even know that he was here.
Objection. Professor Dumbledore cannot speculate, as he is not an expert.
Sustained.
In that case, I have no further questions.
Prosecutor, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Dumbledore, is it true that you were only able to see part of the incident happen?
Yes, I ran downstairs to the 3rd floor to help Harry after I saw Professor Quirrell trying to choke him on the ground.
So you don't know what happened after you ran downstairs, do you?
I only know what I have been told by Ron and Hermione, both of whom I would trust with Sorcerer's Stone.
No more questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Thank you. Professor Dumbledore, you may step down. Does that conclude the case for the defense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, counsel. Are you prepared to begin closing statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
We are, Your Honor.
All right then, you may begin, counsel.
Thank you. Your Honor and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it is the prosecutor's respectful submission that we have clearly met our case, that on the evidence you have heard today, Harry Potter is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of committing second-degree murder. Consider the prosecutor's evidence, ladies and gentlemen. It is clear Harry committed murder in the second degree on Professor Quirrell. He testified today that he did the murder of the professor. Not for one moment, however, did he think about what the effects of him holding Professor's arm too long would do. He has said that he did not believe he would kill Professor Quirrell. This is because he reacted with instinct. He didn't stop to think first about what the consequences would be. These are the actions of a killer, not a future wizard. Thank you.
Counsel for defense, you may proceed.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Harry Potter has admitted to committing the act of murder upon Mr. Quirrell, but he did so as an involuntary act of self-defense. You have heard both Professor Dumbledore's and Ron Weasley's testimony today. Their testimony supports only one conclusion. Late one night, Harry and his friends went to examine the Sorcerer's Stone to see what it looked like. After completing all the guarded tests surrounding the room where it was being held, he and his friends eventually were able to get into the room. Once inside, Voldemort and Professor Quirrell forced Harry to retrieve the stone from the magic mirror and give it to them. They were going to use it for evil purposes and for the benefit of themselves. Harry, however, refused to give the stone to them. In the process of preventing them from getting to the stone, he involuntarily killed the professor. Professor Dumbledore and Ron's testimony support each other, ladies and gentlemen. As the judge will soon direct you, you ultimately must decide whether or not their testimony should be believed. It is the defense submission that on the evidence you have heard today, you may come to only one conclusion. That these men are telling the truth, that Voldemort, along with Professor Quirrell, were not checking on the stone, but trying to steal the Sorcerer's Stone, which is the rightful property of Hogwarts Academy, and that Harry killed the professor involuntarily. But even if it's not clear, ladies and gentlemen, and even if you doubt a little that Harry did not kill the professor involuntarily, or that Voldemort or Quirrell were not attempting to murder Harry or steal the stone, you must still acquit. As the judge will explain, the prosecutor is responsible for proving beyond a reasonable doubt that Harry did not commit murder involuntarily and did not have the right to do so. It is the defense position that the prosecutor clearly has not made out its case. On all evidence you have heard today, you should come to only one conclusion. Harry committed second-degree murder as an act of self-defense and to save all of humanity from the ultimate peril, Lord Voldemort. Harry is innocent of any crime and should be free of any charges. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this concludes the evidence to be heard in this matter. It is now time for your deliberations. You must determine whether Harry is guilty or not guilty of committing second-degree murder. As you may recall from the beginning of these proceedings, I outlined each of the elements that the prosecutor must prove beyond a reasonable doubt in order to succeed in their case against Harry. I now will take a few moments to discuss each of these elements and the evidence relating to the charge against Harry. You should have little difficulty deciding whether the prosecutor has met the first three elements. Identity, time, and place all seem clear. Lord Voldemort has identified the accused today. You also heard witnesses testify that the murder occurred on November 3rd on the 3rd floor of Hogwarts Academy, as described in the indictment. Another ingredient the prosecutor must prove is that Harry Potter murdered Professor Quirrell. You will recall evidence of Harry in which he admitted that he murdered the professor and exhibit number 1, the ashes of Quirrell. The prosecutor must also prove that Harry killed the professor wrongfully and intended to kill him. In deciding these issues, you should consider the following evidence. Exhibit number 2, the tape, showed that Professor Quirrell assaulted Harry and that Voldemort encouraged him to do so. The defense claims that Harry killed Professor Quirrell as means of self-defense and Harry had no criminal intent. Prosecutor claims that Harry did not think of the consequences regarding Professor Quirrell, but rather acted on instinct. I remind you that the prosecutor must prove that Harry is guilty of second-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. You must return a verdict of not guilty of the offense of second-degree murder if the prosecutor has proven this beyond a reasonable doubt. You may retire to the jury room for deliberations. When you reach a unanimous verdict, just inform the bailiff. He will tell me that you are ready to return to the courtroom for the purpose of announcing your verdict.
All rise for the jury.
Thank you, counsel. We will now adjourn until the jury returns with their verdict. The jury will now return to the jury room for deliberations.
All right, while the jury now is proceeding to the jury room for their deliberation, so we'll wait for the verdict to come in from the jury room. There have been quite a few comments that have been coming in on the live YouTube channel about the trial. And so I'm going to ask those who have been watching the trial live on YouTube to put in the chat whether they believe Harry is guilty or is innocent. And let's see those that have come in, what their view is before the jury returns the verdict of whether Harry is guilty or innocent of second-degree murder. And so I'm asking all of those to post comments on the chat that have been doing so, the parents and classmates and siblings that have been watching the trial and have been posting on the chat to post whether they believe Harry is guilty or innocent. And the jury is now meeting in the jury deliberation room, evaluating the evidence, and they will come back and render their verdict on Harry's guilt or innocence in a few moments. And when the jury does render their verdict and the judge discharges the jury, and we go through the analysis of whether that verdict is a unanimous verdict, and if the jury agrees with the verdict in this case, we'll then take the opportunity to introduce all of the students that have been participating in this trial. They're coming in. I see a not guilty, a guilty, Harry is innocent, another one that says Harry is innocent. So the chat is abuzz. It looks like so far it's a split verdict in terms of whether Harry is innocent or guilty. Someone says they believe Hagrid. So Hagrid was for the prosecution's defense. I mean, the prosecution's witness. Here's another one that says not guilty. So another one that says Harry's not guilty. So this is quite exciting. And then another one that says innocent. There's another one that says guilty. So we'll wait to see what the jury determines is.
Your Honor, the jury has reached a verdict.
Okay, so we will now call the jury to return to the room, and I will go off screen and
Bailiff, please bring the jury in.
All rise for the jury.
Have you reached a verdict?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
Will the defendant please stand? What is the verdict?
In the case of People v. Harry Potter, the jury has voted and we find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder.
Would you like to poll the jurors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Will the clerk please poll the jurors?
Juror number 1, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 2, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 3, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 4, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 5, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 6, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
Juror number 7, is that your verdict as read?
Yes, Your Honor.
The verdict is unanimous, Your Honor.
I want to thank the jury for their service in this case. You may be dismissed.
All rise.
all right. Congratulations, everyone. Great job. Great job, everyone. Ms. Blas, and would you please return to the screen, and Ms. Rossetti, the clerk of court.
Great job, guys.
There's Ms. Blas, the teacher from Adacao Elementary, who helped organize the students for this play, mock trial. And it truly is, I think, a great privilege and an honor for us to have been able to participate and put on this virtual mock trial of Harry Potter for second-degree murder. Ms. Rossetti and I and the Chief Justice will also tell you, and Chief Justice, if you're there, you can please join us. Will also tell you that throughout the country, people are struggling in various courts on how we're going to manage jury trials going forward. When people have to social distance, when we can't bring in a number of jurors into the courtroom. And there have been a lot of continuing education classes that have occurred in the last couple of weeks on providing how courts can handle virtual jury trials. And I think here tonight, we saw how we could, with a very small trial of Harry Potter, even though it was for second-degree murder, which is very serious charges, showed how you could interact and with the jurors and the jurors meeting in their breakout room and deliberating, manage a small jury trial. So you give us hope, as Chief Justice mentioned, you give us hope for having to address the issues that we must in the future. And we're quite excited about that. And so all of you deserve a big round of applause. But before we do that, I want Ms. Blas to go through and introduce each and every one of you to our YouTube audience.
Raise your hand when I call you, okay? Harry Potter, Connor Canos. Aidan Uggan is Lord Voldemort. Ron Weasley is Joseph Iwashita. Professor Dumbledore is Marley Aldan. Professor Snape, Zaven Miranda. Rubeus Hagrid is Caden Borja. The prosecutor, Maria Mendiola. Defense attorney, Caden Gomez. Clerk, Lauren Cruz. The judge, Ariana Donraj. Bailiff, Jesse Flickinger. And your jurors are Amaya Farron, Kiana Demalanta, Kamea Iomakame Alston, Zayden Asperer, Zerlin Zacharias, Natalie Torres. Did I get everybody? Thank you, everyone. You did such an amazing job. I'm just about to cry.
Chief Justice, any closing comments before I end?
No, I know the students are hungry and the parents are eager to get to dinner, and we're standing between them and dinner. I join your comments, and I just want to congratulate Ms. Tilly Bloss and the Adacao 5th grade students. Tremendous job, very proud of you, and you made our island very proud of your performance, and thank you very much. Good night.
Yankluna Sidus Masi, everyone, and Sidus Masi Adacao Elementary School.
Viva
Adacao.
All right, everyone. Good
Viva
evening.
Adacao.
Have a good
Have a
evening.
night.
Have a good night. Viva Adacao.
Good night. Thank you.